$400,000. That is how much a missile like this one costs, while a Russian drone costs only a few $1,000s to produce. No country can afford such an expensive war in the long run. It cannot be that we use the most expensive equipment to eliminate the cheapest units attacking Polish airspace. That is why it is necessary to invest more in effective solutions. Solutions like the Polish sky control system from APS, which is used to track and destroy drones. Unfortunately, the equipment purchased 2 years ago under the previous government, led by the Law and Justice Party, has not undergone necessary upgrades. A well-known issue that is becoming all the more urgent and important in this situation is the abandonment of the development of the Sky Control anti-drone system. It has not been modernized or developed in the last 2 years, and its components have even been withdrawn from the border, where they could be used to deter drones. This information has been confirmed by the Polish army. With regard to the Sky Control anti-drone system, no decisions have been made yet regarding its modernization. The Armament Agency, in consultation, With regard to the Sky Control anti-drone system, no decisions have been made yet regarding its modernization. The Armament Agency, in consultation with other participants in the procurement process, is preparing additional analyses mandated by the Technical Modernization Council. In addition, the system is undergoing further testing which will help to determine the specific equipment requirements. It turns out that Poland has one of the best anti-drone systems in the world, used to great success in Ukraine. However, the current government is unable to implement it to protect the Polish border. But that's not all. Today, we have disturbing signals that this company that exports these anti-drone systems all over the world, including to Ukraine, is being excluded from tenders, most recently from a tender organized by the Ministry of the Interior and Administration and the Border Guard for anti-drone systems. The tender was structured in such a way that an Israeli-Italian company was the only one to present its product. From all of this is that this tender appears to have been rigged to guarantee a contract for one company, which may potentially have been part of some corrupt backroom deal. How can this be described? What words should be used to describe what has been done or not done at the Ministry of National Defense? Who are we even dealing with? Who rules Poland? The increasingly frequent penetration of Polish airspace by Russian drones has revived the discussion about Polish anti-drone systems. As if on cue, the web portal Onet published an article from the German news agency Die Welt, which suggests that Poland is interested in purchasing the German Sky Ranger system. Germany believes it has found a way to deal with drones. All of them will be eliminated. Media say Poland is interested in the Sky Ranger system. Russian drones shot down over Poland show how important it is to defend against such weapons. Rheinmetall's Sky Ranger system is a technologically advanced defense system that will soon be deployed in Ukraine. Germany also wants to order 650 units. Poland's Deputy Minister of National Defense commented on the matter in a peculiar way. That's not true. I would ask you not to believe what the media, especially the German media, are reporting. I don't know where it came from. Onet reported it. Well, you see, you said it yourself, but I'm talking about Die Welt, which published various articles on this subject today. The Germans have smelled money. Poland will receive €43 billion from the European SAFE programme to strengthen security. It is clear that the German companies want to receive a significant proportion of these funds and are counting on the favourable attitude of Donald Tusk's government. I think it stems from some kind of anti-Polish sentiment, a feeling of insecurity, that everything German is better. There is a lack of money and political will for the modernisation and development of Polish anti-drone systems. Clearly, the government currently has other priorities. Parliament's Public Finance Committee has given the green light to transfer another 800 million Polish zloty to public media outlets that are in the process of being liquidated. By comparison, in 2022, the Polish government paid approximately 150 million zloty gross for the delivery of comprehensive APS Sky Control anti-drone systems for the Polish army. This could be yet another test for the North Atlantic Alliance. These Zapad military exercises in Belarus begin on Friday. These are the first in 4 years ever since Russia concentrated more than 12,000 troops beyond Poland's eastern border, using them a few months later to attack Ukraine. Now there are to be exactly 13,000 Russians at the Belarusian training ground. This is a potential threat that the NATO alliance must take into account.
Russia is right now testing the resolve of the alliance. And we have to understand that the line between war and peace has been blurred.
Hence the unequivocal decisions of NATO member states' leaders to support NATO's eastern flank. In play are missile defense systems and additional fighter jets to protect the airspace in Eastern Europe.
Based on the lessons from these events, we're going to continue to work to improve our ability to defend every single inch of Alliance airspace.
Responding to the Russian threat in this way would not be possible without the real commitment of Allied forces. The President of the Republic of Poland is and will remain with the Polish soldiers. He is proud of you, and to our allies, the Dutch, the Norwegians, the Americans, the Romanians, and the French, and all the troops of the North Atlantic Alliance, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for passing this test of solidarity and readiness to respond to the Russian Federation's provocations. Europe is also looking to the United States. In a conversation with President Karol Nawrocki, the American president unequivocally expressed his full solidarity with Poland. I spoke on the phone with US President Donald Trump about the repeated violation of Polish airspace by Russian drones which took place last night. The conversation is part of a series of consultations I have been conducting with our allies. Today's talks confirmed the unity of the alliance. The White House's diplomatic efforts to resolve the Russia-Ukrainian war have so far been unsuccessful. It is known that the US president plans to talk to Putin on the phone and meet with European leaders. The fate of the US response to Russia's actions hangs in the balance. Mr. President, Congress is with you. We stand ready to pass legislation authorizing bone-crushing new sanctions and tariffs that can be deployed at your discretion. Our goal is to empower you as you deal with this mounting threat. You are also right to insist that Europe follows your lead on imposing tariffs against countries like China and India who buy cheap Russian oil, the proceeds of which fuel Putin's war machine.
It's going to be...
The decision to impose sanctions may be taken by Washington after consulting with Europe. On the other hand, Trump wants to be sure that he has done everything he can to stop Putin.
Putin is a great risk taker, and he wants to push the envelope as far as possible. So I think for NATO, the key issue is, what can we do to deter Russia from doing this? We don't want to start a war with Russia. We're a defensive alliance, but clearly we're dealing, with a poker player who's willing to sort of up the ante, and we've got to up our game.
While for NATO, Russian provocations are a test of time and response. For the Americans themselves, and especially the White House, they are a test of credibility. Washington knows that its actions are being watched closely, not only by Moscow, but also by Beijing, Tehran, Pyongyang, and Delhi. Everyone wants to see Trump's cards and is raising the stakes for now. The question is, who will call first?
31-year-old conservative commentator Charlie Kirk was assassinated in front of a crowd at a Turning Point USA event on a university campus in Utah. The assassin fired a single fatal shot to Charlie Kirk's neck.
Suddenly, it sounds like lightning. It was so loud, I thought the shooter was right there in the crowd. And apparently he wasn't. Apparently he was far off.
The shooter hid among the panicked crowd. The police immediately began searching for him, but despite the investigators' efforts, the killer is still at large. The FBI announced in the afternoon that the weapon used to fire the fatal shot had been found.
The possible shooter is taken from closed-circuit TV here on campus. We do have that. We're analyzing it, but it is security camera footage, so you can kind of guess what the quality of that is. But we do know. Dressed in all dark clothing, but we don't have a much better description other than that.
Charlie Kirk was rushed to the hospital, but doctors were unable to save him. His death shocked America. Many prayed for first Kirk's recovery and later for the repose of his soul. Erica Kirk, Charlie's wife and mother of their 2 children, posted only a fragment of a Bible verse online. Psalm 46:1, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Flags across America were flown at half-mast. President Donald Trump himself spoke out on the tragedy.
This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever. To share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense.
Condolences are pouring in from both sides of the American political spectrum, despite the Democrat Party's long-standing inflammatory rhetoric that may potentially have inspired the assassination. Members of Congress held a moment of silence to honor the memory of Charlie Kirk. Ordinary Americans also mourn his death.
He represented the best of what's in our country in regards to freedom of speech, being able to speak and speak your mind, those types of things.
Charlie Kirk was an influential conservative commentator who spoke openly about his values.
And the enemies are wokeism or Marxism combining with Islamism to go after what we call the American way of life. And the American way of life is very simple. I want to be able to get married, buy a home, have kids, allow them to ride their bike till the sun goes down, send them to a good school, have a low-crime neighborhood.
Kirk was aware that his clear views were controversial and even inspired aggressive feelings among left-wing Americans. But, despite the threat, he did not give up on holding dialogue.
I've been stormed out of restaurants, I've been assaulted publicly, multiple death threats.
Okay, so what's your goal here?
There's more people that agree with me than some people would actually believe, and they come out of the woodwork when I do stuff like this. We record all of it so that we put on the internet so people can see these ideas collide. When people stop talking, that's when you get violence. That's when civil war happens.
He held conversations, even despite provocations and a decidedly anti-conversational atmosphere.
I love you, Charlie. You're the best comedian. You're the best comedian on.
Do you want a hat?
You're the best.
He spoke out on the most important issues, such as the recent brutal murder of a Ukrainian refugee who was killed by a repeat offender who had been let back on the streets multiple times by corrupt judges. If we want things to change, it's 100% necessary to politicize the senseless murder of Irina Zarutska, because it was politics that allowed a savage monster with 14 priors to be free on the streets to kill her. He also supported the MAGA movement and President Donald Trump. This was too much for his political opponents, so many of them happily welcomed the news of his assassination.
Did you see that Charlie Kirk just got shot and killed?
That's good.
Wow, that's good.
Girl, someone had to do it.
In recognition of his merits and achievements, President Donald Trump announced during the ceremony commemorating the attacks of September 11, 2001, that Charlie Kirk would be posthumously awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian award in the United States.
We miss him greatly, yet I have no doubt that Charlie's voice and the courage he put into the hearts of countless people, especially young people, will live on. I'm pleased to announce that I will soon be awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
The date of the ceremony is to be announced shortly, and the president has already said that he will try to make it a grand event. The murder of Charlie Kirk was a political assassination and part of a pattern of increasing left-wing political violence in the United States. This certainly warrants the attention of Donald Trump's administration, who may need to take action to prevent further left-wing violence in the near future. What this action would entail, currently, is anyone's guess. Hundreds of thousands of people in France are on the streets, clashing with police. This is what France's largest cities look like, and it is only the beginning. What woke the country up in the midst of this political crisis with Macron's government is the issue of austerity measures, which they talk about when people here can't make ends meet. That's why the issue of wages and uncertainty mobilizes us. Next week, the largest trade unions are organizing protests, which could mean total paralysis of the country and more clashes with the police. These are protests against plans for social cuts and the increasingly difficult economic situation in the country, but above all, against this man, the country's president, Emmanuel Macron, and his policies. I am not happy with these changes and what is happening, and I don't think anyone here is, which is why we must keep putting pressure on those in power and show that we will not allow plans that harm our interests. We will not allow for the rules of democracy to be broken. We will not give in. The French left wants to impeach President Macron and has, for the second time, officially begun the complicated procedure of removing him from power, although the chances of this actually happening are slim. Macron himself, despite historically low approval ratings and sharp criticism even from his closest associates, has no intention of resigning and is also defending himself against early parliamentary elections, as all polls show that these have strengthened the right wing of Marine Le Pen and Jordan Bardella. Our goal is new elections, and I think that, ultimately, within the next few weeks, there will be no other option. Macron's party would lose the parliamentary elections by a landslide, which is why the president is creating one minority government after another. The last one fell on Monday, and the new prime minister, the fourth in just a year and a half, is Sébastien Lecornu, one of Macron's most loyal associates, who has been in every government since 2017, most recently as Minister of Defense. We will have to change, certainly be more creative, sometimes more technical, more serious in our cooperation with our opposition. I am glad that I will have the opportunity to do so. But there is no one happy about the new Prime Minister. Sébastien Lecornu is to lead a government without a majority that will most likely only survive a few weeks, a few months at most. He will not be able to carry out any reforms, and France's gigantic debt will only grow with each passing day. We have to put an end to these people who have never worked a day in their lives. All these white-collar workers give themselves everything they want, and in the end, we are the ones who suffer, we are the ones who have to save. At some point, we have to say decisively, enough is enough. France is in a trap. The political system is paralyzing the country. Social divisions and moods are getting worse, and France's gigantic and ever-growing debt could blow up the economy of the entire Eurozone. Meanwhile, presidential election is still a year and a half away, and Macron has long declared he will never resign from office.